And today is the 5th of March, 2024. Welcome to the Anyone Can Farm Experience live chat. I'm Mark, your host. Boy, that was tortured, wasn't it? All right. We got a great subject tonight. I got a lot for you. We got some things coming up. Let's see what's going on here. How come things look different? All right. We've got the Mitten Homestead coming up. I think it's May 17th. Let's see. I should give you accurate. Yeah, May 17th. That's a Friday. It's a Friday, Saturday. It's in Lake Odessa, Michigan. And the ladies that are putting it together are doing a bang-up job. I mean, a bang-up job. They've never done it before, but they're really into homesteading. I'm drawing a blank right now. The lady's name is Mina. Mina, forgive me. I'm just having a moment here. Mina. Really nice lady. M-I-N. Mina Postman. And she got in real good with me because she actually called me on the phone, which is kind of old school these days. Just getting a phone call, you know. Do you want to come to a homestead conference? Like, yeah, that sounds good. And I'm all in. I think, you know, there's a lot going on in the homesteading, and, you know, there's a lot of homestead channels that they don't actually show you homesteading stuff, but they talk about like current events. And it's usually like, be scared, you know, because something's happening. And I don't know. I'm losing interest in that. But I am watching current events. All right, Keith's with us. Right on. And I believe that I'm homesteading. I think it's a good thing to do. It didn't always used to be called homesteading, I guess. I guess we just called it farming. And then there was industrial ag, and then there's small farms and hobby farms, and then homesteading, whatever. Call it whatever you want. But it's definitely not industrial farming, what we're doing. On this farm, it's me and Jill, and I still have 3 children that are home. And one's, you know, she's ready to go. I think she'll be with us this summer. But I don't know about next summer. I don't know. I really don't know. I hear rumblings that her and her girlfriend are going to move out together, but we'll see. But it'll really be good if she's home this summer. We haven't had much response to our intern program. Not much. So if that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. I'm okay either way. I mean, we're looking for about 3 or 4, you know, young people to stay here and work with us this summer. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I know Covey's coming, so I'll have at least one, and that's good. I can live with that. Just Covey. All right. So if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But at a certain point, I'm going to say, nah, I changed my mind. I'm not going to do it because I have to get preparations going now for it, because I got to pay for all the housing and all that stuff. And I'm not really sure if it's in the best interest of the farm to do it, honestly. I thought people would jump on it because, you know, Baker's Green Acres is really a good place to learn and work, but that wasn't the case. All right, Sean Wise is with us. Dave Duncan's with us. Right on. How you guys doing? Hey, so Tonight's show is going to be brought to you by Mitten Homestead Conference this year, which is going to be the 17th and 18th in Lake Odessa. Me and Jill are going to go. We're going to stay there. We're going to camp out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I really like things like that. The kids probably won't go. They'll probably stay here and take care of the farm. And they get to be away from mom and dad, and we get to be away from them too. So it's kind of nice. And it's also brought to you by our friends at Spears Automotive. Spears Automotive. Great people, very dependable towing service, used cars, and maintenance. So big shout out to Spears Automotive out there. Yeah, David says he thought we'd get more interns. Yeah, I did too. Copperhead, Lake Odessa isn't far from us. You should stop by and see us. You should go to the conference. You should go. I don't know if they have anybody that's going to talk about milking cows, but I think that would be where you guys would fit right in. I mean, I wonder how cow milking's going for you. It's going really good for us. Really good. I'm very excited about our dairy program. Really, I'm working on it pretty much every day. I'm getting the floor in the store right now. It was just a concrete floor. Now it's going to be raised up and insulated. And I got a little over halfway done today. And then we get to move all the stuff onto the side that is done and then finish out the rest. And then I got to do some concrete work in there and build a hearth for the wood stove, because it's also going to double as a cafe that we can use when we do the classes. So we have a place to feed people. But that's what I'm working on right now. Really liking that project. I'm real excited about getting it done. The whole store concept is really a gas for me, because you have people coming through all the time and just getting their milk and going, or sometimes they get their milk and they stop. Sometimes the conversations go a little long, if you know what I mean over there, Martin. I don't know if Martin listens to the show or not, but he was here yesterday, and it's like an hour later, we're still talking, but it's not his fault. He's an interesting guy, and we get in good conversation, so whatever. Today was my day to milk, so me and Frank milked, and on the milking front, I have 2 heifer calves that are going to be added into the lineup. We have a technician group that operates right out of Falmouth, Michigan, which is right next town over to us. And the guy's name is Dave Armstead. If anybody needs any help with getting your cows impregnated, let me know, and I'll give you his contact information. Or just check Google and Dave Armstead artificial insemination or Armstead Farm Services, and you can find his number. Pretty cool guy. I really like the way he is, and he came over the other day and put a cedar in our Holstein, and then he'll be coming back next Wednesday to inseminate her. And so, you know, that's cool. And then 9 months from then, she'll be giving us a calf. So, and then we just had one of our cows calf, a short time ago. I guess it's coming up on 6 weeks or so. So I've been feeding the calf. And it was a heifer too. Heifer meaning a female. So really looking forward to developing this. I had a very interesting conversation with a fella on the phone today. His name's Pete Kennedy. He's one of the attorneys at Farm to Consumer. He might even be the attorney there, or he might not even be there anymore. I didn't ask him. I know he's still working for Weston A. Price Foundation, and they're big advocates of milk. And I called him because I wanted to get a straight read on this Amos Miller thing that's going on. And I met Amos Miller many, many years ago. And I have friends that hate him, and I have friends that really love him. And so I couldn't figure out what's going on. But the latest thing that I saw was the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, the PDA, raided his farm and they took a bunch of stuff, his dairy stuff. And so if I was watching that and I was thinking about getting into farming, that would terrify me, you know, to think that these guys can just come in and take your stuff. But I got to tell you guys, I made a video today on Tribe Plus because there's a lot of sensitive information in there, or as I feel it's sensitive information in there. But I believe there's a lot of deception surrounding that case. And I think both sides are deceiving the people who are watching it. One side is saying, oh, poor me, look what they're doing to me. I didn't do anything. The other side is saying, yeah, we're bearing down on this guy, and don't the rest of you try it either. But either way, we're the ones that feel like, oh, what the hell's going on? You know, this poor guy, he's Amish, for goodness sakes. They're all sinless. And he's getting beat up by the PDA, Pennsylvania Department of. I noticed in the films that I saw that they were all hiding their faces, the deplorables that would do this. But I kind of think that they like that kind of publicity because it controls everybody else that sees it. They see it and they say, oh, I don't want that to happen to me. But you don't know what led to it, right? You don't know what led to it. And I think I heard a little bit today about what led to it. And I'm not sure that the guy didn't ask for it. And, you know, it's not like he just went too far. He went as far as he needed to go to get them to do that. And, you know, any publicity is good publicity, right? As they say. So we'll see where that goes. But in my video that I made today for the Tribe Plus people, I really want to caution you of getting worried about that and thinking that it's going to happen to you, like anything that's going to happen, like that would happen in where we are now. There's definitely overzealous people that work for that department, and they think that they're doing the Lord's work by keeping the American public safe. Well, you know, we never asked you to do that, and we don't want you to do that. We're running private organizations, so butt out, right? And that's really the attitude that you have to cop with them. And in reality, I mean, in absolute reality, which there's not a lot of going on in our world today, not a lot. There's men dressing like women and boys going in girls' room and guys competing on female soccer teams and all this stuff. And we're supposed to say, oh, isn't this nice? This is just so nice. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm calling a spade a spade. Now, I might be wrong, but at least I believe I'm right on this. But the reality is they don't have arresting authorities. They don't have much authority at all. They have zero authority on private property unless you contract with them and you sign it away, right? So I always tell you, never do business with the Department of Agriculture. If somebody's requiring you to have some sort of certificate from them to go to a farmer's market, then don't go to the farmer's market. Do something else, right? There's way better options than farmer's market. And I've talked about that at length, I think. Farmer's markets, you know, I think that when I'm retired, I think I would be fun because it's a marketplace and you can go and talk and stuff and meet people and, you know, that's okay. But I don't have time for that right now. I'm trying to build a business and, you know, taking a day to prepare to go to farmer's market, putting a vehicle on the road, a trailer, maybe even a box truck on the road to get there, and then setting it all up. And then whatever you don't sell, you got to bring home. That's not very efficient. And the stuff that you bring home, well, what? Did it sit out in the sun all day? Or, so it's not a very efficient model at all. Some people do good with it, right? I'm sure that some people do. We did it for years, and it was a good place to start, I'd say. But it would never work for us now because I don't have any kind of licensing agreement with anybody. So, like, I couldn't even take my chickens there and sell them because I don't have a license from the MDA, Michigan Department of Agriculture. And the market master would say, well, we play by their rules, so it wouldn't work. I certainly couldn't take milk there. And I don't want to just go and take, sell 5 dozen eggs and come home. I'm not interested in that. I got a much better thing going here with my on-farm store where people can just wing through, get their milk, eggs, beef, pork, chicken, whatever they want, and then just wing through. It's much more efficient. And I think everybody should do it. I really do. I'm not bashful about sharing it. Sometimes some of my good friends don't like me talking about milk, but the nature of milk, and I went into this in detail today, is it's consumable, right? No, that's not true. That's not true. What Inga just said. I'm sorry, Inga, respectfully. That's what I wanted to find out from Pete, and that's what people are saying, but what people say and the reality of it are two different things. So the nature of milk is, let's say you milk 10 cows as a family farm. There's a good paycheck in that. If you can move all that milk, there's a darn good paycheck in that. Darn good. But it's consumable. The milk that you milked last week is already gone. It's already consumed. So you have to replenish it. Got to constantly replenish it. And you're not able to ship it very far because it's not cost effective to do that, in most cases. So you're operating in a very localized market. And unless your neighbor got into it and was a jerk about it and stole your customers from you, then I think there's enough people around that want it. And actually, the Amos Miller case is drawing a bunch of attention to raw milk. And people are saying, gee, I wonder why they don't want us to have raw milk. Oh, that's right. That's right. They're concerned about our safety. Yeah, the USDA and MDA, they're always concerned about the health of the public. That's their main thing. They care about us. Trust the science, right? It's not true. I looked into that today. I called up Pete from the Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund, and I said, what is going on here? Because I'm hearing all these different reports from, the Homestead channels, the ones that you don't see animals, but they're Homestead channels, and they just talk about current events. And what I come away from it is they won't even let him give raw milk to his own kids. Well, he's an older man, so he doesn't have kids in the house anymore. I'll tell you that. He's older than I am. They don't have that authority, right? And in reality, what happened was he was doing something, and they approached him and said, you have to have a license to do this. And he said, well, I'm not interested in a license. And they made an agreement with him, and he went by the agreement, but then he split off from the agreement and he did what he wanted to do. He should have never let them on his property. It's his private business. It doesn't matter if you produce a product and then you trade it for dollars or baby goats. It's between you and the person you're selling it to. They don't have a right to intervene in that. That's private. So it sort of makes sense to people when they hear what Inga just said. Oh, they're coming down on him because he sold milk to somebody and they got sick. Okay, well, let's say he was a lettuce farmer and he sold a head of lettuce to somebody. Would the Department of Agriculture get involved? No, they wouldn't. They'd say, hey, He's a private guy. You're going to have to talk to him about it, not us. But somehow they've continually programmed us that, well, if it's milk or meat, then the government needs to be involved because they're college educated and they know what's safe and what isn't. We're just simple people. When we're hungry and we're driving along and we see a roadkill, we may stop and eat that. We don't know any better. We need somebody who's been to college and that can pound a 12-pack in a night. We need one of them to show us what to do. And they'll probably direct us to McDonald's, and that's what they should do, right? So don't fall into that. What makes them magical to be able to tell you what you can eat and what you can't? That's up to you. You're the one that is responsible. If you buy a lettuce from me and you get sick, hey, I sold you a good lettuce, or I wouldn't sell it out the door. But if you get sick, come and talk to me about it. Don't go to the MDA about it. Why would you do that anyway? Are they going to come and spank me? Why would you do that? I don't know why people do that. And that's not what happened. There was a case where somebody who was in hospice and had a contract with Amos Miller died, but not from the milk. It's almost like the COVID thing. The guy that dies in a motorcycle accident. Yep, he had COVID. Poor guy. He must have not had his vaccine. Don't fall for this. Don't fall for this. And even so, right? Inga, you come to my house, I give you a glass of milk, and you get diarrhea. What good does it do if you go to the MDA? Are they my parents? Are they my boss? No, I don't work for them. They don't get to tell me that I did something wrong. And to think that they have the personnel to police all of us is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. But they love these stories to get out there, so people who produce milk are like, gee, I hope it's not me next. You know what? I hope it is me next. Come on. I'll tell you right now, I produce milk and I sell it to my neighbors. Come on. Let's do this. Let's go into a court of law and we'll determine whether you have the authority, whether the MDA has the authority to tell me what I can do on private property. Okay? And we'll be pulling the Fifth Amendment on this one. It's very clear. I can't do illegal things on private property. But if I was doing something illegal, it's none of their business. That would be the job of who? Legal, illegal. Illegal is for law enforcement, an LEO, not some wiener from the Department of Agriculture. They're about the most useless department that there is, actually. What do they actually do? What do they do? They really do. Anyway, that's not what we wanted to talk about. I mean, I always like to talk about that. But I think we need to talk about some other things that are just a little bit more butt puckering, I would say. I had a conversation with a guy yesterday, a young fellow, that said something to me that I've heard people say before. And I think I said it one time too. We were having a conversation about a kind of a controversial theory having to do with it doesn't matter. And I don't want to go into it right now. It really doesn't matter. But he said, well, it doesn't matter to me anyway. I believe this way, but it really doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter one way or the other. It doesn't matter to me. And I was like, well, I've heard that. I think I've even said that before. And then we had a conversation. It was okay. He went his way, I went mine. I still think that I kind of swayed him a little bit on it, but I run a farm. So I could say that, well, the weather, it doesn't affect me because I'm just tough and I work all weather. I work in the dark if I have to. I work when it's freezing cold out. Doesn't matter to me because I'm just so damn tough. Right? That may be so. and it actually is so, but it affects my animals. It affects the way the grass grows. It like last summer, um, we had a drought, pretty good one, and I can say, well, it don't affect me, but it did. But it did, right? So our homesteads are definitely hedges against the world, I guess. We'll call it the world. That's kind of a Christian thing to say. Well, the world believes this. They, or at least they used to. I don't know. Um, and our homesteads, to some of us, have become a place to kind of like retreat to. It's a place where I don't have to depend on, the supermarket for my meat, my hamburger, my milk, my water. Um, it's a place where we live below our means intentionally. But that's us. That's us. That's the Baker family, and that's my leadership, my and my wife's leadership. Um, and so it's really easy for me to say that, well, this stuff that's going on in the world don't affect me. It don't affect me. Well, I'd say it has less of an effect on me. The last big thing that they pulled off was the Wu flu, and it wasn't real noticeable here, well, not real noticeable, except like when someone comes in your driveway to drop off chickens and they had a face mask on. That was a bit weird, I must admit. And I almost wanted to say, hey, you don't need it here because we don't have the Wu flu here, but I didn't say anything. That was a bit weird. And then, like, in town, there was one store with one superhero that wanted to tell you to do things, and I just ignored her until one day I told her that she probably has a problem with her dad, don't you? You probably have a problem with your dad, don't you? You've seen that type. That was a little cruel, but she should have left me alone. That's all I can say about that. So it didn't really affect me here. It didn't. And I think a lot of you guys are at various stages of your homestead, and I'm 20 years in on this place, so I got a lot of things going that new homesteaders might not have, or 10-year homesteaders might not have. So I can see where I would be in a more advantageous position if there was a thing happen. But I still am watching what goes on around me, uh, and when you do watch it, it leads to another thing. Maybe I ought to look at this and see what's going on here, because my whole life I have seen that, hey, there's a conflict going on here. I think it started for me. It started for me when the Branch Davidians were burnt alive. That Seventh-day Adventist group, and the guy that was running it, I guess, was a little on the whack job side. But I've known a lot of pastors, and I don't know, but they wound up burning the place down. And I heard the narrative from CNN, but what I was seeing was something completely different. And I started to really question that, and looked into it deeper and deeper. And if you look into it now, I don't know, was that 35 years later, 30 years later? If you look into it now, there's very damning evidence out there that shows what's called FLIR, forward-looking infrared radar, which back then that was the equivalent of our, Gen 3 night vision. That they had an aircraft that was circling that showed the entire thing happening, and the commentary on it is really sad and does not look good for our friends at the FBI. It looks real bad for them, and it's settled, and then it was settled again, and so I'm not sure exactly how that turned out, but a lot of people lost their lives. But that was when I first started to wait a minute. This narrative doesn't sound right. And then I think the next thing after that was the Oklahoma City bombing, and that was kind of the business that I was in at the time, and that was the narrative was way off on that, and then on and on it went, and we've started to realize that you have people in our society that are staunchly believing everything that is said on the news, and if you don't believe what's said on the news with enough gusto, you're somehow dissident and weird, and then they gave a name for that and they called it a conspiracy theorist, right? And I think they came up with that a long time ago, but I've been called that a couple of times, and I don't know, it's not a conspiracy theorist. It's like, that doesn't look right. That just does not look right. And just because Rachel Maddow or some other deranged pervert is saying that, well, that's what happened, all right. Who's the other one? Anderson Pooper. That is weird. That's just weird, right? But there is a war going on, and we're seeing it now too. Like we saw a lot of it with COVID, and I mean, those of you that have been with me for a long time, like from jump, I was like, I don't think so. This stinks, right? And I think that we thought, well, it's a good thing we live in the country, and but it was about a week or maybe two, and I was calling BS on that. And sure enough, I mean, there's still people wandering around with masks, but anyway, what's going on is there are two factions that are struggling for position, and they want the hearts and minds of the public, and so the media is at the center of it, and the mainstream media, the traditional media, TV, CNN, Fox News, it's been diminishing, way diminishing. And now you have people on what they call alternative media, which is what this is, right? That have massive followings. And people know BS when they hear it, and they know the truth when they hear it. So they want to follow people that are telling the truth. And so you can find out what's going on. But even then, it's still a little hard to figure out, like, who's fighting here. And I would have to say, I don't know exactly. I know what the characteristics are of one side and the characteristics of the other side are. I know those. I know that. And but I don't know, like, does one team have a name and the other team have another name? I don't know that. It would all be speculation. I really don't. Yeah, I remember Ruby Ridge. I remember that very well. That was a humdinger. That was FBI too got involved with that as well. I think the man that never mind. But it doesn't matter to us. It doesn't matter to us who's involved. But if you watched what went on this week and maybe last week, there are several things that are happening, and one side, and this isn't necessarily a political process, because we've got Republicans and Democrats that both hate the guy that we like, right? And why do we like him? Because he's more like us. And he seems to make good decisions. And when he was running the show last time, gas was $1.50 and things were going good. The libs were freaking out, but we watched them make stupid decisions constantly. So when they freak out, it's okay. I don't mind that much. But good, wholesome, good decision-making people like us liked that man in office. And I don't know if that's the be-all and the end-all. Oh, if we get Biden back in or Big Mike Obama in, things are going to stay bad. We have this problem of all these people coming across the border. That's not new, you guys. That's not new. That was done that's done in many countries to destabilize the society, and then the powers at be can create the order that they want out of the chaos of that. And they don't have to do every place. They can just get some major key cities and change them. And that seems to be what they're doing right now. Now, I don't know if that's going to work out long term. I'm hearing it's not. I'm hearing they're all going to be asked to leave. And if they don't, then things won't go so good on them. They came here voluntarily. They're going to have to leave voluntarily. And I'm sorry about that. But I was trying to explain that to my daughter today because she wants to go on a trip. And I'm trying to explain to her that when you see them, you should be cautious. And she was like, well, I don't really, aren't we supposed to treat everybody equally and decently? I said, yeah, but if you've been to South America, which I have, you see it as an extremely corrupt place. Not every place, okay? Someone's always going to say, well, I've been to Argentina. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's going really well now. Argentina is. Not every place, but every place I was, are very low trust, low integrity, and you kind of wonder, are these people all lowlifes here because of the country, or is the country a s-hole because of these lowlifes? Who knows? The chicken or the egg? I don't know. But I tell you what, you take your wallet out of your back pocket and put it in your front pocket, and you don't keep anything in it. You don't keep an ID in it. You don't need it. And you don't carry a wallet anyway. You carry just cash and you keep it in your front pocket. And you don't carry much in case you get stuck up. So why do they want to come to this country is the question. This is a good country. I've been around and I can tell you I wouldn't want to live anyplace else. So, but anyway, what I'm trying to say is there was a bunch of operations that have been run consistently here. And the point of these operations is to unfairly keep President Trump off the ballot. Now, I don't think the answers for building a solid, constructive, and resilient society are up to Donald Trump. But I tell you what, they're not with the other guy. They're not with the other side. The other side wants to be the intellectual class and run us, run everything, tell us what time to go to bed, what food we can eat, all that stuff. They want control because they think they're so much smarter than us, right? And so there is this struggle. There is this struggle going on. And if you watch the Fulton County case, and a lot of people are watching it just because, this is the Fani Willis case, just because she's just a gross villain, in the story. You hope she slips on the ice and breaks her front tooth, you just hate her. And she's getting her butt handed to her in court by the Trump team, professional lawyers, not county hacks. And it's entertaining. A lot of people are watching it. I stumbled across it and I couldn't turn away from it because, here's a county district attorney that brought charges against a guy like Donald Trump for election tampering and really made some headway with some of his legal team and got a bunch of them to capitulate. Apparently that's the way the story went. I didn't hear the court proceedings, but then she got her butt handed to her last week and they're handing it to her again this week. Now, what does that indicate? That indicates that they're not doing business as usual at the county level. The county level is slippery to different degrees in every single county in this country, right? Because, well, that's a pretty dogmatic statement, but I know it is here. I know it is in my county. There's a degree of slipperiness there that you can just feel when you go in the place. And then you get to know the judges and, all the people that work up there, and they see themselves as the managers of the county. And we're just plebes. They're all they run the show. So they run fast and loose with a lot of things. They do. I mean, there was the county clerk up there get pinched pretty hard for, I think, I don't remember what she was doing, but she got in quite a bit of trouble. And so anyway, but in that case, what she did was quite severe, but they slapped her on the wrist and then let her retire with her full pension. So they cover for each other. They all have their little scams going. It's all about them. They're there for themselves. They're not there as public servants. You do not even get that feeling when you talk to them. When you go up there, you're interrupting their day, and in Fulton County, it was the same thing. She was suing him just to get political notoriety, and she didn't cross her I's or dot her T's. She really left things hanging in the breeze, and they got her. They got her good. Like, she may even do time. Now, that wouldn't happen in the old way of doing things. That's why she was so sloppy. But what does it indicate? It indicates that they've lost control. They've lost control at that level, at the county level. And that the George Soroses of this world, they've given a lot of money to those county district attorneys to work their New World Order agenda, which is, the wokeism and all the, if somebody says they're a girl, you got to respect that, even if they're, that's, and the hate speech, on and on and on it goes. Everybody knows what that is, but that was done specifically to move their agenda from the left, I guess, because most Democrats are on board with that stuff. But we see a lot of Republicans that are on board with that stuff too. In Washington, the only place where Nikki Haley won a primary, or the only place where Nikki Haley won a primary, was Washington. So that should tell you something. That should just tell you something. Like, who's voting for her? She's never going to win, and she's definitely a punk, a New World Order punk for sure. So anyway, I'm watching this, and you can say, well, it doesn't affect me. I'm on the Homestead. I don't know. I'm starting to feel like I wanted to give a warning, and I wanted to say, are you ready? If this was fall and winter's coming and it's going to be a hard winter, are you ready? Are you ready? We got new people coming all the time. This struggle that's going on here, one side that usually doesn't have control, and it's the majority, is gaining control. They're gaining control fast. And the side that does not have control is losing control, and that's when they panic. Like, there was a Supreme Court victory yesterday, 9-0, where that slapped down states that decided, well, we're not going to put President Trump on the ballot. We're just not going to put him on the ballot because we don't like him, because he's an insurrectionist, they say. Yeah. So they think they have the authority to do it, and they just did it. Well, it went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court slapped them down 9-0. Now, what the heck is with that? Because you've got some real nutcases on the Supreme Court. Ketanji and Sotomayor, they're crazy. If the conservative people on the bench are saying, hey, it's a nice day out today, they're going to say, oh, it sucks out today. It just sucks. They're just contrary, very contrary. And they believe in Ketanji. She was the one, when she was asked, can you tell us what a woman is? And she said, well, I'm not a physician. I really can't. I don't have a biology major, so I really can't. What a joke. And that's our Supreme Court. What a joke. They're both. Yeah. So we may be seeing things now that look good, that give you kind of a little tickle. Looks like President Trump's going to get elected again. But that's when you got to be on your guard. Do not let your guard down. Do not let your guard down. Even if he gets elected, then, the knives are going to come out then. They're never going to let up. This struggle will continue forever because one side is not going to put the other side in train cars and ship them off. It's not going to happen. This struggle is going to continue. There are people in my family that they're very young adults. They're my, well, I shouldn't say, but the indoctrination they had in elementary school and high school and then in college is manifesting right now. Like they are so quickly triggered by things. and when they get triggered, they go berserk, right? So the what's going on in the schools now, I probably won't be dealing with those kids as adults to any large degree, but my kids will, and what are they going to be? They're dressing up like cats at the school and calling themselves furries and all this stuff. It's really strange. And, that's all coming out of the left. And I think things could get a little weird. I like to think things are going to live happily ever after. And I think they can, and they will for me, because I try to see it coming and shift a little bit. But I still think that being prepared right now is a smart thing. It was a year ago, but I'm just saying I would be prepared right now. I would have enough water. I would have enough food. I would have the programs in place to provide some sustainability to your food supply. Like I have a butcher shop here that we built, and when the freezers are empty, I can kill another beef, eaten. In case something, in lieu of something crazy happening, which that can happen too. You could have somebody come here that just, a bunch of guys jump out and kill all of our cattle, kill us. Well, then it's over anyway. You never know what can happen. But in lieu of that, I think the worst thing that can probably happen is power out, the supply chain go down. And then we will have chaos. What they can't have is us making it all the way to the election. But how do you stage a power outage? How do you do that? You have to have a lot of people in on it, or really coordinated sabotage, right? Because we always have people that are working every day to keep the power on. It doesn't just stay on, and people don't just, oh, it's on, so we can go on vacation like it'll stay on. No, they have to keep it on. So there's people working all the time around the clock to make sure there's electricity coming to our homes and our businesses and stuff. And I think to defeat those men, it's going to have to be sabotage. Now, will it prevail? Like, can they keep it off? I don't know. I really don't know. Could it be done with some computer hackery? It's definitely got to be the Russians that did that. I'm sure that's what they'll say. And the supply chain, that's not exactly bulletproof. Things could change there. So I don't know. I don't have any kind of look into the future. It just seems as though they the operation that they were running against Trump to keep him off the ballot, that failed. The Fulton County case, that's failing. The wheels are falling off of that. I mean, an hour from now, there's new people coming out want to testify against old Fanny, Big Fanny. That's what Dave's calling her, Big Fanny. I heard one commentator call her Fanny Pack. Yeah, it's funny. A lot of the black commentators, they are vicious when it comes to them. I mean, they say what I think, so I like listening to. There's this one guy. Some of you might hurt your ears if you listen to him, but if you want to get inside the head of these people, the guy's name is The Lead Attorney. He's on YouTube, and he's giving commentary real time. He's a 20-year attorney. He's a black guy. So he says what we're all thinking, and it's pretty darn accurate, I think. I've been listening to him now for about 10 days. Every day I've listened to something he says, and it gives you real insight as to what's going on. Now, why didn't this get blown apart before? He's even the one that brought it to my attention. He's just, that's the way business is done at the county level. It's all self-interest. And if somebody's got to go onto the bus, it's going to be the citizenry. It's a business. It's a business. So, and then what else was there? Was the New York case, which was not very strong case, and probably is not going to go anywhere. But that's Letitia James. She's another one. Just an evil, gross. They call it a strong black woman. I don't see that. I had other words that would fit more in there. Like, would you ever want to share a bus ride with her? No. Ugh. Probably smells like coconuts. I don't know. It's just gross. She just grosses me out. But they started working on her last night about her financial statements as far as what she's been doing on she's the Attorney General of New York. So she's been spending some money, right? And it's all coming to light now. And it's like the level of arrogance of these people is unbelievable. Unbelievable. But when you see it, there's that perfect balance. I think to find a person like Letitia James, they must have had to really look, because there is the perfect balance of intelligence, arrogance, and ignorance, right? And they got it all together, because who would do what she's doing? Now she's going after JBS. That's a telltale sign right there. JBS is a protein supply conglomerate. I guess that's the best way to put it. I'm not sure it's run out of this country. I've heard it's run out of Brazil, but it's big in this country, and it centers on beef. And she's suing them because she says that they're not going to meet their projection for the year 2040 as far as emissions, cow flatulence, shall we say, right? And she says they're not going to meet it, so I'm suing them now. Don't you tell me how to pay my bills. I know how to pay my bills. And it's, what? Are we living in make-believe land? Have the inmates taken over the asylum here? It's really weird. Really, really weird. And it's kind of an attack on the food supply. That's the way it looks to me. I mean, because who's that really going to hurt? It's going to hurt the public. So I am going through my preparations. Do I have enough fuel on hand? Do I have firewood for next year? Do I have a means to get water up out of the ground? That one's real important. Do I have the means for getting my hay in this year because I'm going to need it if I'm milking cows next year and feeding beef. Um, have I set my priorities correctly? I really want that 64 Corvette, but I'd probably be better off getting something that's a little bit. I'd probably better off spending some money with John Spears and getting a new carburetor put on my Jeep and a bunch of other stuff that I'm going to have him do. Because the Jeep's reliable and it doesn't really use much fuel, and you know. So I'm setting my priorities that it could be a rough summer. It really could be a rough summer because the new world order, or the globalist type people, or the criminals, or whatever you want to call them, they do not want Trump to set foot back in that White House. They will do anything, but they've got a real problem on their hands. I think that some of this is definitely divine. Some of this is the hand of God, because look at who they have to pick from for the Democrat nominee. Look at who they have. They got to go with Michelle Obama. Ooh, there's a lot of baggage there. A lot of baggage there. Kamala, I mean, she's got a lower approval rating than Biden. She's just unlikable. That's why I think this whole thing is sort of a it's sort of a movie. Like, why did they put her in the first place? Aren't these adults that make these decisions? Anyway, but she's just an evil thing that's kind of fallen off the edge. The other one is Newsom. That would be a tough go, but you never know. That he seems to be the best bet. But I'm hearing today that they're going to think about dusting off old Hillary and putting her out there. That would be interesting. I don't know why she gave it up in the first place. I really don't. It seemed like she was going to try it again. I don't know. What do you guys think? Who's going to be the nominee on the Democrat side? Or is it going to be old Joe? Is he going to make it? I think, uh-oh. What happened? Another screen came up that I've never seen. I just said old Joe. Is that it? What's this? I don't know why that came up. I'm still on over here. Oh, okay. Thank you. That was my technical specialist. I didn't do anything. I don't know why that came on. But it'd be right interesting if they brought old Hillary out again. I'm hoping that that Biden's got the State of the Union address, I think, on Friday, and they're thinking about giving him just about 4 minutes, and then they're going to bring other people out, which they've never done before. But but that could get really interesting because he could go out there and say something really bad, something that no one's supposed to say. And it could be kind of interesting. So I'm sure I'll be watching it. The whole thing is sort of entertaining, I think. All right, let's see what we got. I haven't been keeping up with it. All right. The Miller case is focusing on getting people sick from fresh raw milk while totally shifting the reality away from all the recalls and sickness from pasteurized milk. That's what they're saying. That is what they're saying, Inga. Yeah. But that's... Okay. The government is saying raw milk is unsafe, but in reality, the government process of pasteurizing milk has all the recalls. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Yep, he signed a contract with them. Contract. I heard that California allows the sale of raw milk. Sure does. How in the heck does the leftist state have more freedom in that area? I actually had... there's a guy by the name of Mark McAfee, and I met him at the Weston A. Price conference out there. many years ago, and I was a speaker, so I had a thing, a little badge that had my name on it, and then a little tab hanging under it that said speaker. So when I walked around, people were like, the crowd would part, Ooh, speaker's coming through. So I was a speaker. So anyway, I got my food at breakfast, and him and his wife were sitting there, and they said, "Hey, you want to sit with us? You speaker?" He was a speaker too. Mark McAfee. I'll never forget that guy. But he had a huge raw milk dairy operation there. Huge. And the reason why it's legal there is because people are saying it's legal. Right? It is legal here in Michigan, but people say it's illegal here. And there is a law, an MCL, that says that the sale of raw milk to the end user is prohibited, but that's a hollow law, because what they have to do is they have to outlaw the product. You have to outlaw the product. It'd be like saying the sale of hay to the end user is illegal. How can you do that? How would that stand in a court of law if you haven't you haven't put the substance on a controlled substance roster? It's not a controlled substance. You can't tell me I can't sell it to somebody else. How is that going to hold up in a court? So in California, they took them to court and they won. Like, this is a wholesome, healthy product. Where do you get off saying we can't sell this? Well, I guess we were wrong. I guess you can sell it because we have no standing in this case. The state has no standing. It wasn't like the state is just a better state. It's just that they got their butts kicked in a court of law. And that's kind of why I say, yeah, I sell raw milk. Why don't you guys come and why don't you send me a letter from your law staff saying to cease and desist? Because I can tell you what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, stuff it. And now it's your move. Now you do it. You take me to court. We'll go. And what will happen is we will get so much attention. We will get so much publicity because of this tribe. And then we will win that case, and it will set precedence in this state. That's why I know they would never do it, because most people, they have them scared to the point, well, if I lose in court, they might take my ice fishing rights away. Where do you come up with these things? They don't have the authority to take anything from you or put you in jail or anything like that. That's law enforcement does that. So just don't break laws. Just don't break laws, which people don't anyway. I drink milk, raw milk every day, says Inga Brummins. Do you drink cow milk or goat milk? That's what I'd like to know. Ralph Reeves says, God bless me and Jill. Thank you, Ralph. Oh, yeah, from a fertilizer connection in his truck with Oklahoma. Yeah, that's, and then David Duncan says, yeah, that was pretty sad. Back in those days, like Ruby Ridge, we were just coming out of, the whole thing was a tremendous psyop, and people were not questioning what was on the news, especially like we'd just come out of the Gulf War, I think. And that's when CNN really took off, like that around the clock news coverage of stuff. That's when that started. And, whenever there was inconsistencies in what was really happening in the war, people that were involved in it were saying, oh, well, they must have to not tell the truth, so the enemy can't find out what we're doing. That was the reasoning at the time. Yeah. Yeah, that whole thing was pretty stinky. The wall will keep us in. I've heard that before, but I don't know. Have you ever been to Mexico, especially that part of Mexico? None too pretty. Like, I don't think you'd want to go there. Copperhead, Ephesians 6:12 sums it up. I don't have a Bible right here, and I'm not familiar with what Ephesians 6:12 says. But I kind of think what we're seeing here is the book of Esther type of thing. Like they're building the gallows for one group of people, but the people building the gallows are the ones that's going to hang on it. Like they're going to be hung by their own system, I think. And it's all because of their hubris. Like Fannie Willis, she's just so arrogant, like, and she doesn't know it's burning her house down. She just doesn't know. That ignorant. She's ignorance and arrogance, but she's smart enough to pass the bar, which I find that hard to believe. Don't tell me how to pay my bills. A man is not a plan. She broke up with him because he said to her that all you can do for me is make me a sandwich. Woman. You know, some great. If you haven't seen any of that, you ought to check it out because it's highly, highly entertaining. Angus says, two wings of the same bird. Yeah, I agree. I agree. You know, the Republican Party could be doing so much more to bring order and rule of law. There seems to be only a few of them that are worth a damn, and who knows? Who knows, really? Big Fanny. Michelle, 4 rounds of hubby. 4 rounds of hubby. 4 rounds of hubby. Is that code for something? 4 rounds of hubby. I know what people say. They say that Michelle is actually a man. I've heard that. She's a big woman. I know that. And some of the pictures kind of look like. I saw a picture today of Bruce Jenner or Caitlyn Jenner and Cindy Crawford side by side. It was stunning. Like Cindy Crawford is about 15 years younger than him, but they looked very much alike. I understand. I don't know if it's true, but I think that the level of deception against us, we the people, has been huge, huge. I was 9 years old when we landed on the moon. And I sat there like, wow, we landed on the moon. But it looked fake then. And now when you watch it now, it's kind of a joke. But you can't work for NASA and say, oh, that was fake. No, you got to carry the company line. We landed on the moon. Yeah. I think we did last week, didn't we? When all the cell phones went off? Didn't we land an unmanned vehicle on the moon, and then they showed this control room with all these like 30-year-olds high-fiving each other. Yeah, we're on the moon. Wow. It was sickening. Ralph. Wait a minute. Michelle Four. Okay. It's a way to get more money in the dollars. More money. It's the dollars, Keith says. All right. Ralph says the current administration came from Make-A-Wish Foundation. All right. Yeah, I get it. I think I get it. 4 rounds of President Obama. Oh, yeah. I never liked Obama. You know what? I had less, like, he just seemed like one of those goofy guys that was saying whatever it took, to schmooze Whitey, all the time. He was trying to be cool and everything. But Michelle, there was something about that. Like, she didn't seem like she wanted to be there, and she didn't seem like she had a lot of respect for the whole government and the whole notion of United States. She didn't. She was like one of those witchy, copping the attitude that she's been disenfranchised somehow. You know, she always bugged me. There was always just an edge when you'd see her in the White House, like, ooh, that doesn't look right. You know, and it wasn't the racial component of it. It was just like she wasn't proud of where she was. I can't, I can't really put words to it. Well, she always gave me the creeps. I had heard that, like, she's 60 something years old. Can you imagine the lifestyle that you live when your husband was the president for 8 years and you lived in the White House, and then you get this really nice pad out on Martha's Vineyard? But that has got to be the weirdest thing. I'm from that neck of the woods, and I'm sure the people out there weren't real thrilled with the Obamas moving out onto Martha's Vineyard. I can tell you that. I just know those people. They don't really like that. But I suppose they had to just suck it up. And so why would she want to have to go to Washington from that nice pad on Martha's Vineyard? Martha's Vineyard, if you don't know, it's an island off of the coast of Massachusetts, of Cape Cod. And it's really nice there. Why would you want to be the president? Ick. But I think she owes them. So they may be able to pressure her into it. But that would be a disaster too. Can you imagine Trump going after her on a debate stage? Oh, that would be fun. Well, anyway, that's going to be it for tonight. I hope people get their tickets for Mitten Homestead. We got to start thinking about the instruction schedule for the year. May is when we're going to do our seed swap. That's going to be, oh boy, I don't want to give out bad info. I can't see it from here. It's the 4th, May 4th. The farm will be opened up, and we'll give you more information on that. But you can bring your plants, seeds, if you have any seed potatoes, anything like that you want to swap off with other people. Jill's going to be letting a few vendors come, sign up, and pay for a little bit of a space. And hopefully that will defray the cost of our porta potties and some of the food that we got to cough up. Usually we do kind of a potluck, everybody can eat. We're doing it in May this year. It's been April in the past, and April weather can be rough. So May will be a little bit nicer. And then our pasture poultry class is going to be this summer. That's always a big hit. And got a lot of work to do this summer. A lot of work to do. Okay, I'm going to get going. Get your preps ready. And we will see you next time. Tomorrow night, by the way, for you Tribe Plus members, is our consulting call. So that's a Zoom call. So your face shows right up on here with my face, and you get to ask questions about anything that you want that we're doing. The Tribe Plus people, I am sharing with you the good stuff about the processes that we do here. And they're more geared towards doing how to do the thing. If you do the thing, you'll have the power. If you don't do the thing, you won't have the power. But these videos are more geared to how to do the thing, an attitude towards the thing. Today I talked about raw milk. A lot of people are afraid to do raw milk. It's one of the most profitable things you can do on a homestead. I suppose you could start distilling gin. That would be good, but that's highly regulated. Highly regulated. That's actually you're breaking the law when you do that, I guess. I never really looked into it. Not interested in doing it anyway. All right. Got to get going. Remember, anyone can farm. Good night.